Hello my friends, welcome to Walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. Today on this sunny November 18th, 2025. Beautiful day here because it's the first day in over a week, really, that we have had significant sunshine. The weather has been rather cold and dreary. Today's 40 degrees, but it does not feel like a cold 40 degrees despite it being windy. So, we got a lot of stuff going on politically at the moment. I'm just going to crack on about the Epstein stuff, which, to be honest with you, I'm tired of it, but that's what's in the media today. First of all, I want to be clear on record that I 100% support the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Any and all files should be released for transparency, 100%. And anybody that doesn't agree with that is protecting a pedophile. And I want to be clear on the difference between not wanting files released to protect a pedophile and not having files released to protect the victims. There is a very distinguishing difference there that unfortunately a lot of people online cannot tell the difference of. Like this bill that's being voted on in about an hour to release the Epstein files. It was kind of haphazardly done, and that's the problem. They actually used the wrong code in the bill that doesn't protect the victims. Because then they were in such a big hurry to hurt Trump with it that they used the wrong criminal code cited in the legislation. So it's one of those things where the Republicans are damned if they vote for it for that reason, and damned if they don't for the aforementioned reason of protecting powerful pedophiles. So, to be clear, the code that was used, I'm not going to cite the exact code, I don't know what it's called or what the numerical number of it is in the penal codes, but it is one that will allow all files to be immediately released without being vetted. It's also violating a child pornography law. Because they used the wrong code, you're basically releasing child pornography. Because there are videos that depict bad things involving underage people that are victims, and It's not good. You can't do that. So that's the first mistake that was made with Tom Massey's bill. Most of the people in Congress are lawyers, former prosecutors, and they understand the mistake that was made. Now Republicans are going to have to be forced to vote for it or not. If they don't vote for it, well, that's going to be the end of everything, isn't it? Oh my God, I can't believe they didn't vote to release the files. What are they protecting? So I think that's why President Trump came out ahead of time, finally, and said Republicans should vote for it, release everything. That takes all the pressure off the Republicans in Congress. Now they can decide what they want to do or not do. Like I said, that vote is in about an hour. So I don't know the outcome of that yet. By the time you watch this, you probably will. My guess is it's going to pass in the House, but in the Senate, it's going to be a different matter altogether. So we'll see what happens there. But I want to remind you that the type of bill that was passed, for the process they used to pass it, only about 4% of those bills ever pass and get anywhere or see their way to the president's desk. So there are some big hurdles if you want the files released. And I really feel that a mistake was made using the wrong penal code for that. I have no idea why they did that. They, being Thomas Massey and Democrats, it's almost like they don't want the files released. They just want the political collateral damage if you vote against it. That's what it looks like to me. And that's unfortunate, because I think while I was watching the press conference today with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, and Ro Khanna, Democrat congressman, it looked an awful lot to me like people were playing politics instead of caring about the victims. Even two of the victims spoke at this press conference, bad-mouthing Donald Trump. Not accusing him of anything, but just saying that he was obstructing this, and they were insulted that President Trump said that the Epstein files was a hoax. And it made me very angry. Marjorie Taylor Greene echoed the same sentiment. Thomas Massey really didn't. And Ro Khanna said this is bipartisan and he's not going to make it about politics, and I'll give him credit, he didn't do that. Marjorie Taylor Greene did, however, and so did a couple of the victims. So Marjorie Taylor Greene apologized for her comments on Trump yesterday and said we shouldn't be playing politics and dividing the party. Then she comes out today and makes a comment about Trump calling her a traitor, and also comments about what I had just mentioned with the Democrat hoax, which is what Trump said. Okay, Trump said that the Epstein thing was a Democrat hoax. In other words, a weapon being used against Trump where Trump didn't do anything wrong. It's a hoax. So the media went out of their way to make it look like Trump said that the Epstein files entire thing was a hoax. Like what happened to the victims was a hoax, which is not what he said. And that really makes me angry. because Marjorie Taylor Greene echoed that narrative today, and that really pissed me off, and she is permanently on my forever shit list, and you may as well just call her Liz Cheney 2.0 at this point. She has eyes on a political career of advancement. Realizing that the Trump era is coming to a close, there's going to be a power vacuum, and she's trying to squeeze her friggin' ass in there, either as a senator or running for president herself. So clearly she has political ambition. Clearly she's using the media narratives, and she's even going on the same networks that a year or two ago ended up causing her to be swatted in her home with innuendo and rhetoric against her spewed by the media. So that makes her an absolute duplicitous C word that I can't say on here. And it's shameful, or shameless. She's using the victims for politics. So Republicans held a press conference today after the Epstein file press conference, stating these facts about the incorrect code used and why it's a problem and why the Republicans didn't support the bill. But he said, I'm going to vote for this bill. In other words, he's going to tell the Republicans to vote for this bill, but these are the problems it has, and they shouldn't have done it this way. So, as far as the Epstein files go, they have had a political victory with the public. The public wants the files released. So do I. I want the files released as well. But I don't want them released in a way that's going to hurt the victims. And the way they're going to do it is going to do just that. There are victims that didn't come out and say anything. There was even a victim that didn't show up at the press conference today because she had received threats. So, revealing the identity, there's over 1,000 victims. So, my friends, what I was saying is there are over 1,000 victims. Over 1,000. A handful of them signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and accepted money in exchange for being quiet. Okay, they were paid for their trouble, which is legal. They decided to take some money for the trauma they received as some kind of restitution. That's their personal decision. I'm not going to judge on that either way. But there are many who never said anything, who just wanted to hide and be left out of it. Now this is going to expose all of them, because the Democrats care about getting Donald Trump, and they don't care about the victims, and Republicans do. And the Republicans were being made to look like demons, like they were protecting the president. That's really sums this all up in a nutshell. And that's what happened. So everybody knows Trump didn't do anything wrong. He probably knows people that did. Maybe he doesn't want these files released for other reasons. The biggest one is it's tainting his presidency, despite him not having anything to do with it. Because the media is rabid. It's about ratings. So, how would I feel about Trump if he was protecting friends that got in trouble with victims? Well, I would not like that very much at all. In fact, that would really piss me off. But I don't think he's doing that. Regardless, he looked at it in an honest way, I think, where he's having his second term finally. You have to remember what they did to his first term. They're trying to do that again with different topics. And I think that's a big part of why he's been resisting everything the Democrats have been trying to do to him. Not just the Epstein stuff, but corruption accusations, enriching himself with Bitcoin. There's a whole bunch of other things, you know, demolishing the White House. I mean, it's an endless, it's just constant. So I just think he's in that mode of defense all the time. That's a big part of it. So I think he finally realized how important this is to the public. It's important to me too. I want the victims to get justice. But unfortunately, not a single Democrat can talk about the Epstein files without having Trump in the same sentence. And that's doing a disjustice to the victims, in my opinion. So anyways, my friends, this is where we're at the moment. Speaking of Epstein, I'm going to mention somebody else. Stacey Plaskett. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. I don't know what state she's out of. I don't care. But the Washington Post revealed text that were acquired from the Epstein estate, and it featured Stacey Plaskett texting with then already convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, child sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell. Anyway, she was live texting with Jeffrey Epstein while a congressional hearing was going on. Epstein was feeding her questions to ask Michael Cohen, Trump's fixer, Trump's lawyer. He'd give her a topic and a question to ask, and she would ask it, and he would text back, "Good job. By the way, I like the dress you're wearing. Very professional." Things like that. So, the high and mighty Democrats who want to protect children and protect girls are sitting there conspiring with a convicted child trafficker live in Congress. Absolutely disgusting. And she should resign. But the media is not going to make a big story out of it. They only do that with Republicans. So there you have it. That's why the Epstein files thing isn't going to go anywhere. Trump told the DOJ and FBI to investigate prominent Democrats who were known to go on the Lolita Express to Epstein Island. And the Democrats, as soon as there's no use for it to soil Donald Trump and Republicans, they're going to drop this entire topic. It'll be wiped off the face of the earth. Just my guess. It's really what it's looking like is going to happen. So anyway, I'm going to swap over to the other camera, and I just wanted to say hi. So thank you for walking with me today, and thanks for being here. So we'll switch back to the other camera. And the other thing I want to talk about is something really important is January 6th. President Trump posted a post on Truth Social about January 6th, and I want to go over it with you. Sorry about the wind. It is breezy today. Hopefully you'll get to hear what I'm saying. So anyway, President Trump said it was just revealed that the FBI had secretly placed, against all rules, regulations, protocols, and standards, 274 FBI agents into the crowd just prior to and during the January 6th hoax. The hoax being the insurrection charge, which he was never charged for. This is different from what Director Christopher Wray stated, FBI director, former FBI director, over and over again. That's right. As it now turns out, FBI agents were at and in the January 6th protest, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not as law enforcement officials. I want to know who each and every one of these so-called agents are and what they were up to on that now historic day. Many great American patriots were made to pay a very big price only for the love of country. I owe this investigation of dirty cops and crooked politicians to them. Christopher Wray, the then director of the FBI, has some major explaining to do. That's two in a row. Comey and Wray, who got caught lying with our great country at stake. We can never let this happen to America again. So that is the statement President Trump made on that. So Christopher Wray, I know for a fact, more than one time, over the last 6 years anyway, has lied under oath to Congress and the Senate. Nothing is ever done about it, which is why they keep doing it. So the official position of the FBI with Christopher Wray was that there was only like 6 FBI agents at January 6th, and it only had to do with security and things like that. Capitol Police was handling the bulk of everything else. So, which, by the way, I wanted to mention, one of the assistant people for the Capitol Police, who was relieved of her duties and reassigned, she took up a job with UC Berkeley Security. She's the one that just allowed all of these Antifa people to attack TPUSA, Charlie Kirk TPUSA, protesters on campus violently. That was in the news last week. Well, she used to be with the Washington, D.C. Police Department that failed on January 6th. So it's just amazing how these people are incestuous, and they always manage to survive somewhere else, probably as a repaid favor. Just my opinion. But anyway, isn't that interesting? That 274 agents were at the January 6th thing that happened. Democrats were trying to say they showed up after the violence started as an emergency thing, and there's no record of that. None of that was discussed in the original J6 sham trial led by a so-called bipartisan committee with Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and the rest of the rabid anti-Trump Democrats. So this is the opportunity for these people to pay for what they did. I'd like to see Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger charged with destroying evidence, which they did. They destroyed surveillance video and shredded documents that exonerated Trump. They edited the video of his speech and cut out the part where he said to peaceably go make your voices heard. Peacefully protest, patriotically. They cut all of that out of his speech. It was all politicized. And I want the evidence to come out for what really happened. What happened was unfortunate, but it was a riot. Majority of those were non-violent, and the ones that were violent deserve what they got. But it was not an insurrection. It wasn't anything close to it. It was a bunch of pissed off people at Democrats for playing fucking politics. And the media propaganda is what pissed people off. Oh, look at all the turkeys. Gobblers. No, you guys don't have to run. Yeah, they know I'm here. They're getting skittish. No, don't run away. Come back. We're having lamb for Thanksgiving. We're not having turkey. Anyway. So my friends, guys and gals, oh, look at this, we got some more turkeys. Can't believe how big they are. I don't think you're going to get the full scale of how big those are on here. Anyways, my friends, we're going to get to the bottom of all of this stuff. And I want to know why the DC police officer that planted the pipe bombs at the RNC and DNC headquarters on January 6th was never charged, despite just revealing who she is just now. Hi. So I would hope she would get charged now that it's been revealed. What was the purpose of it? No pipe bombs ever went off. It didn't affect anything. It's almost like they had something else planned and it changed real time as the day went on. That's what I think. Where are the pipe bombs? What kind of devices were they? Were they live? Were they set to explode? I don't have the answers to any of that. You know, sometimes we have a hard time getting information, and I don't like it. Like the guy that shot at President Trump. Part of the information that was held back, and it was finally released, is that Thomas Crooks had a furry fetish. The trans furry movement. He was doing a lot of activity online, which involved watching porn and things like that. So I don't think it's really pertinent to anything, but it's just amazing to me how that culture always ends up trying to kill people. Very strange. If you don't know what a furry is, do an internet search, but if you don't want to, well, do it with caution if you have say search off. That's all I'm going to say about that. So the alpacas are out. One of them anyway. So it's about 12:30, just afternoon. It's about the nicest time of day to walk now, since I no longer have late afternoons, early evenings, because it's cold. There's going to be some days coming up where I'm going to feel like walking and it's going to be cold out at night, and I'm just not going to feel like it. But it's this time of year, so I'm going to try to do as many daylight walks as I can. The main reason is it's warmer. Like right now it's about 41 degrees. Tonight it's going to be about 30, so, or in the 20s. So that's why that water inlet there is starting to get covered in ice. So anyways, when I left the house, President Trump was with Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And you know, a lot of people online just make a big deal about everything that has to do with Trump. Why weren't they using the official entrance when they have official state blah blah blah? Because this wasn't an official state visit. The Crown Prince isn't the king. He's the Crown Prince. So they used the backside of the White House. They did a military jet flyover. We had our horses out there, military garb and all that. Crown Prince is investing $600 billion in the United States for AI technologies, which is the new industrial revolution. And Trump wants to make sure we lead the world in it. So there's that. So today I feel good walking. Had a good night's sleep. My back is behaving better, which makes me very happy. Because every time you start having your back act up, you always wonder, is this the time that it's acting up where it's starting to wear, and with age I'm going to need surgery to fix it? You start wondering that. But it's feeling better. Anybody watching this that has back problems knows exactly how irritating and annoying it is to feel pain every day, all day long for years. You just get used to it. And a couple days ago, just getting in my car, because it sits low, I actually had to freeze in pain and wait till the pain subsided. So that's not good. Not good at all. Nice day today. Damn nice. I'm not wearing my extra thick hoodie today. I'm wearing my regular one. I wore the extra thick one, and it was so damn thick I was sweating to death. I was drenched. Because one day it's 29, 30 degrees, and the next is 42. Which is good, you know. I'm not complaining about it being warmer. It just sucks when I overcompensated in clothing. So there's always a fine line with these people where if you get upset about the Epstein files, they think you're protecting, you know, you're protecting a pedophile. That's the first thing that you get accused of online. No, I want the victims protected. That's why I don't want the files released unless it's done properly. That's the correct and the right thing to do. The wrong thing is to hurry up and get this out there because you believe it's going to destroy Trump, which is what the Democrats are doing. And Thomas Massie is doing. And Marjorie Taylor Greene signed on to. And her friggin' career is over. Go read her comments from people that used to support her, and they're done with her. And this is a long time coming because she's always stirring the pot, causing trouble. And that's exactly what Liz Cheney did. And that's why she's out as well. So it's really unfortunate that Marjorie Taylor Greene cannot be honest and trying to play innocent like she's the victim. She did that press conference today and she made herself look like the victim. I supported Trump for 6 years out of my own pocket. No. You promoted your career out of your own pocket. You kissed Trump's ass to get ahead. And now that after 2026 next year, Trump's not going to have a lot of the power that he has now. You're looking to fill a vacuum. So you're being selfish, you're looking out for yourself, trying to advance your career. But that's the nature of American politics. People have term limits. Joe Biden was pretty impotent his last 2 years. Some would argue his entire presidency, but I'm talking about as far as political clout. Dementia, worm-ridden brain or not. So it's the way politics go. Last 2 years of Ronald Reagan, same thing. Last 2 years of George Bush, same thing. Last 2 years of Obama, same thing. That's just the way it works. That's why we're a republic. We have term limits. And that way people cannot accrue too much power endlessly. Wouldn't want it any other way. with Trump or anyone else. It's really important to have a good candidate for the next election. So next year, it's going to be crazy, folks. Also wanted to give you an update on the $2,000 tariff dividends. You have to remember, this isn't a handout from the Treasury or the IRS. It's not tax dollars, okay? That's the first thing. You need to get that out of the way. It's the first thing people mention. I'd rather see it get paid down to the debt. Well, it's not tax dollars. This is a payback for paying extra for things during the interim while they're doing the tariffs and upsetting the apple cart. It's a way of compensating you for the trouble you've been put through, especially through Joe Biden. So that's how you should look at it. The balance of what's left over on the rebates has been announced. It's going to go towards the debt. And 80% of the tariffs is going to the debt to begin with. So what's important to understand is all of the tariff money taken in, hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, it doesn't even round a number on the national debt. It's like having $5.78 and you round it off to $6. It doesn't pay your debt, it just rounds off the number. We're at $37 trillion in debt. 37,000 billions. I mean, it's crazy. Or whatever the number is. It's 1,000 billion. It's a trillion. So it doesn't make a big dent to begin with. So giving a little bit of money back to the folks isn't going to hurt anything. It's a little speck. In other words, they could give it all back to us. All of those hundreds of billions taken in, give it all to us, and it doesn't really add to the national debt. But I did find out info. All of the money that's going to be given out, which is a small percentage of the tariffs, is going to go to low and middle income only. And it's going to be in the form of a check. I did find that out. It's not going to be a tax credit. And it has to be okayed by Congress, which I'm sure it will be. And I also have a time frame. Middle of 2026. So midway through next year, because it does have to go through Congress and there is a process for it. And I know they said that with Doge checks. We never got those. They're not talking about those anymore. But these have been officially announced. So they are going to happen. Just thought I'd mention that. So people are going to get those, okay? What you have to do to get those, I don't know. And they also said in their statement that it was going out to working families, to help working families. And it also says, almost everyone, it says, middle or low income. So they said almost everyone in the country is going to get a check. So there's already mixed signals on that. What do they mean by working families? Are retired people on Social Security going to get those checks or not? You know? They should do it like they did for the COVID rebates, where everybody just files a tax return, whether they owe taxes or not, so, or use their last tax return if it's within a certain amount of time. And that was really easy for people to do. That's what they should do, because then people with Social Security that are low income, most of them, you know, they don't have any income, some of them. They're fully retired. So I'm sure that'll be worked out, and they'll get asked those questions, and they'll have to answer them, and it's a process. So when I get any more information, I will relay it, okay? But I understand their timing too, for middle of 2026, or not too much later than that, because we have midterm elections, and what better would it be to give most people in the country $2,000 back just before having to go vote. Democrats have been doing giveaways for years, tax dollar giveaways. Governor in Maine here, you know, gave away 800, I think it was 600 or 800 something to every Maine resident a few years ago. I got one of those. And that was just before an election. So they've been buying votes for a long time. We might as well do it with non-tax dollars, right? Since it's available. It's not tax money. And there are some people who are going to say, well, it's revenue generated from tariffs. That was a tax on the consumer who had to pay more for what they bought. That's a misnomer. That's factually incorrect. It's a tax on the importer. The exporter, the person importing it into the United States, is taxed. The company can then decide if they want to eat some of that so they don't have to raise their prices, or they'll go ahead and raise their prices, and then somebody else that didn't do that will get their business. That's really how that works. But yeah, prices for some stuff went up. A lot of stuff it did not. It went down. It's kind of a mix right now, and President Trump did sign an executive order removing the tariffs from bananas, coffee, things we don't make, basically. Things we don't make. Well, as far as food goes, food I'm talking about. So they're still finding their way through the tariff process, and nobody's ever done this before. So he's got some of the world's best economists, and you know, they're tweaking things, trying things out, see what works, what doesn't. And that's why they said, you know, sometimes there's going to be some upset. I mean, I'll pick something at random that tariffs won't affect, but you know, nobody wants to pay $8 for a tube of toothpaste when it should be $2 or less. So they'll figure it out. I'm on board. I'm on the Trump train. I'm not going anywhere, friends. This has been an awesome ride. Historic. Good, bad, or indifferent, this is a piece of history we're watching. Some people are like, well, it's a piece of something, all right. I don't know if history is the right way to describe it. Some people think Trump is crap. I saw one of the Epstein victims today saying she voted for Donald Trump because he promised transparency, and he's been obstructing it. And I regret voting for him, she said. That's not good PR, okay? That news clip, that video clip is going to run everywhere where they hate Trump. So, I really hate the media. I hate them so much. So much of what they say just isn't the facts. really burns my ass when they say President Trump said what happened to the victims is a hoax. That is not what he said. He said the Democrats using the Epstein files as a weapon against Trump is the hoax. It's a Democrat hoax, he called it. But you got people that believe Trump thinks that the Epstein thing is a hoax, like it never happened. Now I could say, well, you know, it's up to Trump to word things better than he does. Partially true, but at the same time, I don't think it really fucking matters how he words anything. They'll twist whatever he says. That's blatantly obvious. So, it's also ugly. It's just ugly. So right now, with the Democrats and the media, it really has nothing to do with the victims. They're using the victims as a prop against Trump. Politics. Ugly, ugly, awful politics. And they have the Republicans in a box right now, because if they don't vote for the bill, because it'll actually, in the long run, hurt the victims, then they're the enemy. They're protecting Jeffrey Epstein and powerful people and protecting pedophiles. If they vote for it, they hurt the victims. So they're all going to vote for it. And it is going to hurt the victims. Guarantee you, we are going to hear in the media, after these files are finally released, about a couple of the victims we didn't know about who commit suicide after, because they didn't want to be known or associated with it. They made a new life for themselves. Now they're going to be embarrassed, probably harassed, because it's all made political now. And we had an Epstein victim that didn't show up to the press conference today because she had received threats. And she bowed out. So they're just stoking a whole bunch of anger in the wrong places. They've made it about politics. They've made it about Trump. They've made it about Democrats versus Republicans, Republicans versus Democrats. And nobody gives a flying fuck about the victims. So, terrible. But the information is going to come out, so that's good. Matter of time. It's going to pass in the House, and even if they try to stall it in the Senate, it's not going to work. The American public wants the truth. I want the truth. You want the truth. I know you do. And we'll have it. We're just along for the ride, that's all. And a ride we shall get. Oh, that sun feels nice. Oh, I miss the sun. It's been gone. So I watched a movie last night called How It Ends. Not the one made in 2021, that was a comedy. But the one from 2018, I think it was. 2017. Either or, whatever. Had Forrest Whitaker in it, which I like him. And it had to do with some kind of massive destruction event that happened on the West Coast. They don't explain what it was. So you don't know if it's invasion, natural disaster, aliens attacking. You don't know anything. They don't tell you, which is good. But the movie's called How It Ends. And the movie ended with them driving away from a pyroclastic cloud, which they didn't explain where it came from or why. It was in Seattle, so I'm assuming it was not Mount Hood, but the other one, Mount Rainier, near Seattle, which they had stated that if Mount Rainier ever blows up like Mount St. Helens did, Mount Rainier is much bigger and has had a massive eruption in the past that actually contributed to some of the layers at Niagara Falls that fall off every year from water running over it. So it was a huge, massive, multi-volcanic event in that region that was unstable. And I think that's what they based this movie on, because they were implying that it started in Los Angeles and it affected the entire West Coast all the way up to Canada into Alaska. So that would be the Ring of Fire, the infamous fault line where part of California was said to fall into the ocean. So that's what they based the movie on, I think, although they don't tell you. And the movie ends with them driving away from a pyroclastic cloud, and then it just ends with the credits. So the movie's called How It Ends, and they never fucking tell you how it ends. It's got to be the most ironic movie title ever. They don't tell you what caused it, and they don't tell you how it ended. But the movie's called How It Ends. That is pretty damn comical. So anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. So I wanted to give you an update on the walk yesterday, where I said there was a tree chopped up on a lawn, and it's like I was mystified as to why there would be a tree chopped up on the lawn when I don't recall there ever being a tree there. I watched the previous walk, and sure enough, there was a tree there. A tree I've walked by hundreds and hundreds of times, and I never noticed it. Hysterical. Thought that was funny. I just hit 3.5 miles. The other movie I watched last night was Bad Day at Black Rock. I absolutely love how that movie was filmed. 1955. It's either Panavision or CinemaScope or something, but that's when they used to record those movies with panoramic mirrors, panoramic lenses, and it was really good. And a very, very young Lee Marvin, a very young Ernest Borgnine. It's a very good movie. I enjoyed it. Had a very young Anne Francis in it too. Had an interesting story. The story was about this guy who shows up at Black Rock, and he's looking for an Asian guy that lives there, or lived there, and the whole town starts acting weird. They don't want him there, trying to make him leave and uncomfortable, trying to bully him. He doesn't know why. So the people in the town trying to find out who the guy is. Why is he there? What does he want? So they wire to Los Angeles. They do the equivalent of what they would do today, like an internet search to see who somebody was. And they came up with nothing. So back then you didn't have all that info available on a computer. So anyway, it turns out, I'll save all the scrum about it. It turns out that because the character had an arm missing, or a lame arm, it didn't work, had been wounded in the war, World War II, fighting the Japanese. Well, it turns out that the guy he served with saved his life and then was killed, and he received the medal for his heroism, and he wanted to give the medal to the guy's father, and that's the guy that disappeared, nobody could find. Turns out the townspeople murdered him, and part of it had to do with hatred towards Asians because of World War II and Pearl Harbor. You have to remember this is 1955. That was the politics of the day. So anyway, it turns out that they wanted the guy's land because he had discovered water on it. They tried to get the land as a lesser value, but once there was water on it, they wanted to develop it because it was going to make the town a lot of money. But they had to cover up the murder they did, which is why they were investigating Spencer Tracy, who was the character. Whew. Got my heart rate up. So anyway, Walter Brennan was also in this. Classic Western movie star. And Black Rock was just a small town with like 5 or 6 buildings. Everybody knew everybody, and they were all in on it. And whoever wasn't, they got rid of them, if you know what I mean. So the whole movie was about covering up a murder and murders. And so anyway, this was just some guy that showed up. He just showed up to give a medal to the guy's father because the guy he served with had died, and he figured his dad would want the medal. So anyway, he ended up basically defeating the entire town, surely through psychology and one ass whooping on Ernest Borgnine, even though this guy had one arm usable. He was a combat veteran, and he knew all of that stuff on how to really hurt people, and he put the hurt on him. Gave him a chop in the neck, made him almost pass out, hit him with a couple more, kneed him in the face, and he had gone out of his way to have no violence at all. He really bit his tongue until he was forced to defend himself, and then he shocked them all because they didn't think a one-armed cripple, as they called him, would be able to defend himself. So they were bullying him, and they got their ass kicked, at least one of them. Then he ended up preying on the conscience of the ones that were good people that were keeping the town secret because they were afraid of the people that did it. So there was this whole intertwining story in there, and I thought it was very interesting. He ended up getting the whole town to turn on those bad guys, and justice was finally served. And then when he left, he gave the good person in the town the medal that he was there to return to the guy he served with's father. So, pretty good story. I enjoyed it anyway. I like watching some of those old movies sometimes. So pretty much it's saying that people have always been rotten, really. Throughout man's history, man has always found a way to be evil and rotten to one another over greed or whatever else. It's kind of an age-old theme. It's brought down kingdoms, it's put people in jail, it's had people put to death. Very few of them ever get what they want out of it without having to live with some kind of guilt. So, very interesting. I like to think about things sometimes. Boy, it sure is a nice day today. See a squirrel run across the road up ahead. We're at the 4-mile mark at 1 hour and 10 minutes. Pretty good time. Not too bad. Snowmobile crossing. Wind our way down here. I'm going to have a piece of New York sirloin steak for dinner tonight. I thought it out. Price of beef is expensive right now. Cripes. Should see that coming down though. I'll be the first one to let you know. I like beef. It's what's for dinner. I've been brainwashed by the ads. Somebody cut up a tree here. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's walk with me, my little stories. street. It's easier to walk. I got a better walk path over here. And I'll cross back over when I get down that ways. Well, we still get some fall leaves on these trees here. That's unusual. And Thanksgiving coming up. Interesting. Don't know what kind of trees those are. Okie day. I'm gonna cross back over. Some pumpkins over there. Pumpkins. Oh, sun's finally out. That's so awesome. I don't really appreciate the sun until it's gone for a week and a half to 2 weeks. The weather has been crap. I was thinking I wish I could do a really good Christopher Walken imitation, because then I would do it for the entire walk, and I would call it Walkin' with Walken. Wouldn't that be funny? Just have the head camera only so you never see me. There could be some real funny possibilities there. But I'm not that talented, so but it would be funny. Looks like he's got some stuff left growing here. Some broccoli. Look at that. Must grow well in cold weather. Look at that. It's like he's been plucking some branches off. See that? Just pluck your broccoli as you need it. How cool is that? That's a nice view, truly. Yeah, you know, it gets cold here. It can be tough sometimes, but realistically, I mean, it's so beautiful here pretty much everywhere you go. You know, this is the second most populated city in the state, and there's a lot of nice things to look at. 5 or 6 miles in every direction. There's fishing, swimming, lakes, ponds, hunting. Oh, that squirrel. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, see, that car slowed down. That was nice. You can see how squirrels get hit. That squirrel did not want to motivate out of the way. That was almost like, I'm going to commit. I'm going to end myself. Oh, no, I'm not. I had to be careful what I said on here because of the algorithm. Now he's going back. He didn't know what the hell he wanted. Dumbass. And he just run across for the hell of it. Idiot. That's how you become a dead squirrel, stupid. We're at 4.5 miles now. I know with the head camera on, it looks like I just walked across the street without looking, but I looked with my peripheral. I can turn my eyeballs in my socket without having to turn my head. Can you imagine? Like magic. It's amazing. Recess is over. Go back to class. So I got to talk a minute about people you may have in your life upset at your politics. I have a niece that doesn't speak to me because of who I voted for. And this political division, she's very passionate about far-left extremist ideologies. And she supports all the LGBT stuff, all the loony left anti-gun stuff, the climate lunatic stuff. And so she won't talk to me. She lives in Brooklyn, New York. So even when they had those Black Lives Matter riots in 2020, which she supported, she actually, I believe she came to Maine, back home, to ride out all the problems because she lived in Brooklyn. And I remember seeing film clips of Brooklyn, and there was rioting in the streets, and it was horrible. And she still defends it. It's crazy. That's brain damage, man. That is freaking brain damage. She won't talk to me because a few years ago I told her her politics was ugly and it's not a good look. And she blocked me on social media. Hasn't talked to me since, on the phone, in person, or otherwise. So I don't know what causes that. So their brain is damaged by Trump derangement syndrome. I I can't do anything about that. I'm not going to change my beliefs to suit somebody else. I'm not going to hate her for her beliefs. It's stupid. These people are always just hateful, vindictive, angry. Got to get you back. They lash out at you. They're all emotional. It's lunacy. It's mental illness. That's what it is. Let's be honest about it, right? Anyways, I'm going to wind up the walk today up ahead. Fine day for a walk, I'll tell you that much. I think the last part of this walk I'll talk about a movie that I've always liked. Saw it in the theater when it came out. It's more of a modern movie called Super 8. Produced by Steven Spielberg's film company and directed by infamous director Abrams, and it was done the way that they used to make the hit movies in the 80s. It was kind of an homage back to the 80s. One of the better movies made in the last 20 years, in my opinion. Had a really good story, great cast, and I got the Blu-ray for that. It's always entertaining to watch that movie. It's one of my favorite ones. If you ever wonder if you haven't seen it, you might want to check it out. If you've seen it, well, you'll probably understand why it was good. And a lot of the military battle in town was really done. It wasn't CGI, and that's what I liked about this movie, is whenever possible they didn't use CGI. They did it old school way until they needed to use it, like the alien creature.
Fucking every winter, dude. Wrong spot.
Oh, really?
There's a guy on Route 11. You look at his, he's got like 15 of them laying just over the shoulder. Yeah, and just told him, he puts it in the wrong spot every year.
That's funny. Yep. Big wet heavy snow, when they plow it, it kills people's mailboxes. That's funny. People put the mailbox right up along the road. A lot of them get taken out. Hi. Hi, how are you? You'll see a lot of these mailboxes, they get steel poles, but a lot of them are, it seems to be popular, is those plastic poles. Plastic square pole, which goes around a pole that comes out of the ground, and I always see those broken. We've seen a lot of these on the walks that are broken. That's what that guy was talking about. Thank you very much for walking with me today. Really enjoyed the conversation. It was kind of cool today, I think. Not cool weather-wise, but just cool conversation. I enjoyed it. And click like and subscribe, share the content, say a prayer for Trump and the country. God bless you and your family. Stay out of trouble. Stay safe. And we will see you on the next walk, my friends. Thank you for walking with J.Beau today. Bye-bye now.